NBA Summer League games may not matter much, but it's a great way to get a glimpse of the talent within your organization. But because of a mistake made by the Raptors front office, these young players are facing a huge problem in doing so. Let's get into it. Welcome everybody to Amateur Hour Sports, the YouTube channel dedicated to Toronto Raptors content and videos, live streams, and shorts. If you like what you see from today's video and you want to see more content just like it, then help me on the road to 15,000 subscribers by subscribing to the channel. But Summer League is in full swing for a bunch of NBA teams, and that includes the Toronto Raptors, who have now played 2 games in Las Vegas, but both of these games have been extremely underwhelming for the fan base that has been watching. And after seeing the product on court here, there are noticeably some issues with the team. Summer League games, as I mentioned, yeah, they're not the biggest of deals, but for basketball sickos like myself who really care about the pipeline of talent within the organization, who really care about the journey with these players, and knowing what the Raptors have coming up for potential replacements going forward, I mean, such a big part of the Raptors and their success over the last decade has been their strength in numbers, and it kind of starts here. You find these diamond in the rough sort of players, and the Raptors in the last decade, as I mentioned, have been known for this. They've been known for finding the players that are overlooked, finding the diamond in the rough, the gem sort of players. But it just feels like in the last few years, that pipeline of developmental talent has dried up, and maybe we're at the worst it's ever been, because the product on court in Summer League so far has been abysmal from the Toronto Raptors. They started off their Summer League venture with an 83-74 loss to the Chicago Bulls, but not the most formidable Bulls team, and it appeared as though there were problems, and those problems were on full display against the Cleveland Cavaliers when the Raptors were absolutely wiped by the Cavs in a blowout loss where they never really had a chance in this game. And it's so bad on court that many of the biggest Raptors fans and the biggest Raptors creators are saying that it's tough to watch, and they may not be able to watch any more of something because of how bad the on-court product is. And may not be a big deal. Hey, it's Summer League. You can go 0-5, 0-4, whatever it is in Summer League, and it's no problem. It doesn't affect your season in any way whatsoever. But the Summer League provides fans, and more importantly, the front office, it provides them the ability to get a glimpse of the talent within the organization, knowing what you got in your key players that you signed, and potentially finding those diamond in the rough sort of players on the team as well. I remember watching a couple of years ago, Justin Champagnie was a Summer League signing who nobody knew really anything about, but with his impressive talent, got himself an NBA deal. I know since then he's been waived by the Raptors, I think a little bit foolishly, because I think he's a good player, but those sort of players, these are the guys that you can find in Summer League. But more predominantly, we want to see what we have with the likes of Gradey Dick, who we just used our 13th pick in the 2023 NBA draft to get. Gradey Dick, the shooter that this team maybe is missing. We haven't been able to see fully what to expect out of Gradey Dick for this season because of a problem here. Markquis Nowell, the undrafted free agent that we signed, a lot of expectation for him of what he could do in the NBA. He seems very confident in his own abilities. He kind of showed out in Game 1, but struggled in Game 2 for reasons we'll explain in just a second here. Another interesting piece is Moses Brown. He didn't play much in this Cleveland Cavaliers game, which makes me think the Raptors were very impressed with him in the first game against the Bulls, but Moses Brown has been impressive, and he's been a name that the Raptors have been watching for a couple of years, and the fan base has been watching for a couple of years. But the reason we can't get the full scope of what these players could bring to the team is because the roster is just downright bad. Now, I don't want to disrespect these guys on the team, but the roster, and more importantly, what I've been saying about the NBA team for so long, the roster construction is so poor on this team. It was extremely highlighted by that game against the Cleveland Cavaliers where the Raptors shot under 35% from the field and 16% from 3. They also, at the end of the first half, had a 3-minute scoring drought. And what is, these guys are being competitive. Of course, they're fighting for contracts. They're fighting for their future. But these games are a lot messier. There's a lot more opportunity to get past these messy defenses, get points. The fact that Raptors are finding it so difficult to score on even Summer League defenses, it's just a showcase of how downright bad the construction has been with the team. So where are the problems arising? I don't expect all of you to be avid Summer League watchers, especially with the on-court product that we're seeing, but mainly with that 16% three-point percentage, like the amount of wide open threes that were generated that were not knocked down. And it's not Gradey Dick missing these shots. He was 1 of 3 in the Cleveland game, but we'll get more on Gradey Dick in just a second here. It's guys like David Johnson, who we selected in the second round a couple of years ago. It's guys like Ron Harper Jr. and other players in the team that we've signed who are not knocking down these wide open threes. And as a result, the spacing is terrible. There's no room for the interior players to operate. And it becomes even worse when you see not only have they not addressed the shooting need for the Summer League team, they have fundamentally not addressed the need for people who can initiate the offense. And kind of rings a bell, Masai Ujiri, Bob Webster, the scouting team, the way they've built this Summer League roster, kind of rings a bell of what the NBA team has looked like. Not enough offensive initiators, not enough shooters. Maybe we helped out a little bit with that in the summer, but to me, it doesn't seem like we've done enough there. And they've done the exact same with the Summer League team. I know Summer League doesn't matter very much, but as a result of not having offensive initiators other than Markquis Nowell, the team has no ability to penetrate offensively, and the spacing becomes even worse when you don't have enough three-point shooters or guys who can hit threes in any way whatsoever. So for players like Markquis Nowell, we want to get a glimpse of. We want to see exactly what we have in the point guard that we signed as an undrafted free agent who we're pretty excited about the potential. I know he's 5'7", 5'8", and that showcase, we'll talk about that. But this is a talented player who we think maybe has a chance to affect the NBA level at some point in his career. Type of player with a ton of talent, throw in the G League and see what happens. But we're not getting the full scope of what he can be because in the previous game he had 4 assists, 4 turnovers. Yes, but I mean, that easily could have been 6, 7, 8 assists if guys were knocking down their shots. And because they're not knocking down shots, the space collapses. And, against Markquis Nowell as well, in that game against the Cavaliers, he shot 2 of 11, 0 of 3 from 3. For him, he's small. When his jump shot's not falling down, especially the deep threes, he doesn't really have any other way to score because he gets in the paint in amongst the trees, and he got swallowed up on some layups a few times in the game. But the spacing decreases by not having the shooting, therefore we can't get a full scope of what Markquis Nowell can be, and this likely affects guys like Gradey Dick even more. Gradey Dick in the 2 games so far in Summer League has shot 3 of 12 from deep here, and in the most recent game against the Cavs, he had an improved game. I'm not trying to knock Gradey Dick here. He had 11 points in the game, but only 1 of 3 from 3. It looked like in the first game, a lot of times for players like him in his position, not the most athletic guys, rely on IQ, rely on shooting, rely on spacing. Well, the Raptors are giving him a glimpse of what the spacing is going to be like at the NBA level, so he's going to have to get used to the lack of spacing with this team because there still really aren't enough shooters in this team, and it got maybe even worse in the offseason. But the problem is because there's such a lack of spacing, because nobody's worrying about any other players on the outside shooting because nobody's knocking down shots. In that Cavaliers game in particular, Gradey Dick was getting run off the three-point line every time he got the ball because they knew that was the only guy they had to worry about on the outside. So because of the deficiencies in the roster construction here, we haven't been able to see a full scope of what Gradey Dick can be for the team. Of course, there's a whole summer camp where we see, I think it's 21 players this year and what they can do. We have preseason. We have all this time in between as well for players to work on these things. But this is a great opportunity the front office had to see more of these players, to understand what they are, and maybe decision-making over the next month or so would be factored based on the talent or non-talent that they see within these players. But they haven't given these players a fair opportunity to showcase themselves on the court, and that's just so frustrating to me. How you had all this time to prepare for your Summer League roster, and it's something that we perceive as so insignificant, but this is why it's significant. This is why it's important. We haven't been able to see enough of what Markquis Nowell can do. We haven't been able to see enough of what Gradey Dick can do. We haven't been able to see enough of what Moses Brown can do for this team. And it appears as though that's not going to change because we just don't have the right guys for this team. Now, as far as the returning players, what we've seen from them, like the new guys they brought in, don't really see much future over there for those players. The guys that are returning, Ron Harper Jr., looks like his shooting stroke has improved, but still needs a lot of work to contribute at the NBA level. I'd like to see more of him potentially on a 2-way deal again for a season. David Johnson was a second-round pick 2 years ago, was a straight G League player last season. That's not going to change. I don't know if that's ever going to change for David Johnson, with all due respect. Joe Wieskamp, the date where his contract becomes guaranteed is fast approaching here. I believe we're just over a week away from when the Raptors have to guarantee Joe Wieskamp's money for the season. Based on what we're seeing from Joe Wieskamp, based on what we saw from him last season, we use that spot for him in the NBA instead of Jeff Dowtin, which was a mistake, and nothing suggests otherwise. It was a mistake, and watching Wieskamp right now, I would be pretty damn shocked if he got that guarantee for the season. Instead, the opening could go for a player like Moses Brown, a rim-running player, athletic. Yeah, he's been in the league 5 years. Yes, in his first 4 years of his career, he's been on 6 teams, so this is the 7th team, the Raptors, in 5 years. But I think from what we've seen, this is a guy worth a shot in training camp, and definitely worth a shot to try with your G League team with the Raptors 905. I mean, the pick and roll capabilities of him with Markquis Nowell is very intriguing to see over there. So, yeah, we got some good glimpses of Markquis Nowell, but it's exciting. Gradey Dick, okay, some certain things. Moses Brown as well, but we haven't gotten the full scope because of the mistakes and the problems in putting this team together. And it's just another notion that where the Raptors have had success in the last decade is finding the players from nothing, the overlooked players who we develop and bring to the next level, because there's only a finite amount of draft picks that we're allowed to use. We're not an attractive free agent destination for whatever reason, so we rely very heavily on these developmental stories. We just haven't had them in the recent years, and seems like our developmental pipeline is draining fast. And if this Summer League roster is any indication of where it's heading, it's not going to get filled back up anytime soon, and that's just a damn shame. So what do you make of these Summer League performances so far? I'm not worried about Nowell and Gradey Dick, but I would have liked to have seen a better roster to complement them even more. But give your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. That's it for me for today. Drop a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe for more content about the Raptors just like this, and I'll see you again very soon for another video.